Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. The JAMODI podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products. So, Coach Estelle, you worked for him for 5 years?
All 8. So him and I came together in 2014.
Okay. Worked with him for 8 years. So you saw him set the culture. Obviously, you're a part of it. But now as he transitions on and you move over those 6 inches, culture is something that's very important. I think a coach that doesn't think about it or talk about it now, I don't know. They just missed a lot of John Gordon stuff in the last decade, or Davos, whatever. Like it is important. I think my first question is the culture that was set, how much of that do you feel like you're going to continue forward? Or also you have your own ideas, your own direction you want to take it. How much are you changing or manipulating things?
One of the first things I said is that in order for a good coach to happen, both coaches got to be able to mesh together. And the reason why I was with Coach Estelle for so long is because he opened so many doors for me and trusted me, and him and I saw everything the same. So as far as the culture goes, it shouldn't drop off.
Right.
And it's not going to drop off. The standards are the same way. The expectations are the same, to where every person in the program matters. And that's, to me, is the foundation of our culture, is that from the manager to me, everyone in between, not to say that they all have a voice, but they all have relevance to the program, and it's felt every day. And so that, I think, alone is the baseline standard that helps us keep growing from that. And so the culture that we're trying to have here is that you have a part of the reason why we do what we do. And, we say it in the recruiting pitch, if you're here on no money, if you're here on full ride, if you've been here 5 years, if you've been here 5 days, if you can make an impact every day, you have a chance to be successful here.
I love that idea of you have a part to play. Everybody has a part to play in our program. I think sometimes the message that is said or that people want to hear is that the program is here for us.
Right.
With everybody, this is all about me. And I think, man, a foreign message, and one that is so important, is just to remind our players and our coaches and ourselves that we're not that important. We are not the program, and it will continue on, and whether we're here or not. But I think that's a message that I love, the fact that you're kind of setting that line from the beginning. And knowing your background, it kind of makes sense.
No, I think, the program comes first, is what Coach would always say. And I think he's absolutely right, because if I were to disappear tomorrow, college basketball at Texas A&M Kingsville would still be played. And so it's
sorry to tell you, Coach, they get somebody in there. Yeah.
Right. So it's a matter of respect what you have. There's a lot of times, and I see it in coaches my age, that it becomes the hunt instead of the ride, to where I'm hunting the next job. I'm hunting the next player that hopefully gets me to this. And if I do this, then it's going to be this, versus, man, Kingsville has been great to me. I'm going to give it everything I have. And if it works out, it works out. Coach and I had never really talked about career change and profession and, moving up here and moving there. And the AD and I had never had conversation. Hey, if Coach leaves, but, I was doing my job at the right place at the right time, and it paid off. And, to say I'm the first Hispanic head coach here at Texas A&M Kingsville. And so to me, it's a reward at the end of the tunnel, versus, man, I got to go search it and find it, because if you don't, then you're going to be left behind. It's just, it's the mentality of it, but that's the culture that you choose to set for yourself too.
Man, I thought of the Netflix, I think it's Netflix, about the Florida football team.
Haven't
Have
seen
you?
it yet, but I've heard. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard good things.
I mean, there's so many obviously great parts of Urban Meyer. I mean, as a coach, we're probably about as opposite as you get as far as what motivates players. And I mean, he went down the. I like to go down the courage route. He went down the fear route. And like
Mhm.
it's like good, the dark side and the light. Like he kind of, but there's another part of it that was so unique is that what drove him to be successful allowed him to never be happy in the moment, to take things in, and this powerful moment where, and he was reflecting back on this, but they win the national championship, and before he walks in to see his players and celebrate, he gets on his phone and he is texting recruits. He's thinking about what's next, like how do we do this again. There's a danger in that where we always as coaches talk about it's process, we're not outcome based. But really, like deep down, are we
Right.
really where our feet are? And I think that it's good for us, kind of like we talked about at the beginning. Like we can there's mistakes we've made, let's learn from those. It's even better if we can learn from others mistakes. And I think your idea of I'm just going to be faithful here, work my tail off here, make this place the big time, I think that's a good strategy.
And it's worked for me, and I think it works for others who do it. And sometimes it may not be the road to glory that some people may compare at the end of the day, but I got to do what I love to do. I've moved up in positions consistently through the process, so I know it works.
How do you feel like that culture drives performance?
It's something that you can't take lightly, and it's something that you can't it requires a lot of work and a lot of attention, to where as a coach, and I just finished telling the guys this morning in conditioning, this is not a week to get comfortable, because you've gone it through it 3 weeks. Now you're at the point where your body's starting to acclimate. Okay, I know what's coming. This is what we're going to do this. And the moment you start relaxing is the moment you get slapped. And so from our point as the coaches, it's our job to continue to raise the standard every day, to where if a guy was doing something in 12 seconds, now you got to do it in 10.
Yeah.
And really, we don't time anything in our program. So, because you don't want to make your program incentive based, where, if we do this in 5 seconds, then, we don't have to do it anymore. Then the hard work becomes, well, are you really working, or are you just working towards a goal and then just being done?
That's good.
So the first day on the track, I said, okay, we're running a mile. They didn't really know what to expect. They said, okay, what time do we have to make? I said, run as fast as you can. If you want to be a 9-minute mile guy, I know you're a 9-minute mile guy. If you want to be a 5:45, you're a 5:45 guy. And it just lets me know where you want to be on the. So that alone kind of sets the standard and the culture of, I mean, if you want to sit third string, fourth string, work third string, fourth string effort.
Yeah.
And the guys in the program help along the way of that, because they're the most important people. Like, we can say that we don't play, we just help organize and delegate, but the players are the ones who really make everything work. And so in recruiting, you got to be able to find guys that are going to instill everything you say and then reciprocate it to their teammates.
And that's a good point about the fact that you're recruiting. You're probably recruiting guys that aren't 9-mile guys. You're trying to find out those guys that either from their high school coach, select coach, from their family, from what you can see from them when you communicate with them, that they've got those intangibles that I'm looking for. They're going to do their very, very best no matter what. I think what you just talked about is very useful for high school coaches that can't choose the players that they have, that right. Whoever shows up in August, that's who we're rolling with.
Right.
But helping them, I think one of the biggest challenges, and you nailed it, Coach, is helping them to make the choice themselves, to be great, to have courage, and to make mistakes, and to push themselves to that limit. It's easy, the path of do this or you're out, do this or there's more pain, do this or I'll never play you. Like, you'll get some results that way, but there's going to come a point where it doesn't matter to them anymore.
Right.
And so I love that idea. And I'm trying to think of other ways besides just running on the track or the mile that we can try to get them to make the choice to train harder, to go faster.
At the end of the day, it's a mentality, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and so with today's day and age of mental health and the things, and it's granted, I tell our guys all the time and recruits, like, they're growing up in an era of stress by the age of 14.
Yeah.
Because this thing right here causes, you see social media and kid XYZ that you grew up playing with, now all of a sudden has 4 or 5 videos and it has a bunch of coaches messaging him and, pictures flying around here. And you start looking around and going, man, when did I get left in the dust? But in reality is all that just maybe pictures and videos and posts. It may mean nothing.
Yeah.
But to the kid that's looking at it from the other side, it becomes a more, man, am I going to make it? Am I going to do this? And so in the era that we're in today of mentality, it kind of becomes well, here's your choices. You choose which one you want, and you help them pick this one, and you kind of pull this one away little by little. But it makes them feel like, oh, I chose this, I can do this. Versus, here, man, this is what you have to do or you don't make it.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's crazy. I mean, like I said, I remember when it was, here, you either take this or you don't make it. But in today's day, they have to be included in the process mentally.
I think it ultimately makes us better coaches. I'm not saying that the coaches that I had or the ones in the 80s and 90s, obviously John Wooden, I think, was doing this. Like, I think he was doing this back in the day. He was probably one of the first coaches that he wasn't a yeller. He did have high standards that he held them to, but I think he in a calm way just helped them to choose the right direction. I think he cared about relationships, and I don't think it was just his way or the highway mentality. But somewhere along the ways, maybe whoever the best coaches of the time were, it became pretty popular to, you're just going to do this because of fear, and they coach that way. And I think it's a positive direction that it's going. And you're right on the money. That phone really has changed things. Do you feel you have to be even more intentional with actually helping them to manage what they see, how they take that information, and how that should translate into their actions?
I don't know if you can ever actually manage it, just because, I mean, there's so much infinite information, and it is a requirement, to get to this point. And then once you're here, it is a requirement to just, maintain who you are. And it's kind of part of which one do you choose to be? Are you going to be humble and hungry, or are you going to kind of just be humiliated and feel inferior? But I think it's as much an asset as it is as a con. You look at, I have a newborn 5-month-old.
Nice.
So
congrats.
Thank you. She helped me stay up and watch FIBA a lot of the nights, because it would be a lot of feeds at the end of the first game and the start of the second one. And so watching European coaches and how they hold each other accountable and standards, that was as much refreshing to watch as it was the actions in the sport, because these are the best of the world.
Yeah.
But I'm watching the best of the world represent their countries, 35, 36. Europeans play late in their days. I mean, Rudy Fernandez is almost 40, still playing for Spain. But watching them look at their coach, focused, this is what's going on, getting ripped as a 38-year-old, Schroeder and their coach and the coach get into it one time out, telling him to sit down and yelling at him. If that happened in the NBA, he'd probably gotten fired.
Yeah.
But at the end, Germany wins it, and him and Schroeder are hugging at half court like nothing ever happened. So it's the toughness of look, I can still coach you because I know that you're bought into the scenario. And part of the culture is that you've got to be able to see the kid. If the kid is never bought in, if you're never bought in, that no matter how many times you sit in front of them and say, hey, man, this is what we're going to do and we're going to try this, it'll never work. So the relationship of your culture has got to be that this is the way we're going, this is the way we're doing it, and the process to get there leads to that hug at the end. That I think is the most important part of it all.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.